We are now live. So, here we go. So, real estate licensing. Make sure your phones are on silent before we start. Got mine on silent. Yes. So, real estate licensing. Usually, I like to start the chapters with questions. Thankfully, this one starts with a question already, which is, who must be licensed? And it says right here that anyone who takes part in a real estate transaction for another person for a fee, commission, or the valuable consideration must have a real estate license. If you guys notice, this is in green. The green section, it's almost guaranteed to be in the state exam. So make sure you put stars. Do not write state exam questions, because then I'm going to get in trouble. If somebody ever sees your book, oh, Bruno said this was guaranteed. All right? But the green, that's what it means. It's most likely to be in the state exam. So always put stars next to it. Now the question would be, you're helping your father sell his house. Do you need a real estate license? Isis, you're saying yes? Mm-hmm. Okay, why?
Because it says whenever you're performing a transaction
Okay.
with another person for a fee.
But I didn't say
yes, you're right.
I didn't say that your dad was paying you. But you're right, because this is a maybe. Because if there's some type of compensation, then you do need a license. A lot of people think, oh, I'm helping my dad. I don't need a license. Well, if your dad says, hey, son or daughter, if you help me sell my house, I'll give you the car that's in the garage. That is, right here, valuable consideration, because the car is something of value. Does that make sense? So you do need a license. If you're helping without receiving anything, do you need a license? No. You got it? The key thing here is always, please underline, fee, commission, or other valuable consideration. Just underline that. All right, we got Elle watching from home, and she's saying aloha. You're in Jersey, but okay. She's in Jersey too, just saying. She says, hello, new class. I'm an old student. She's still in the 9th class, but okay. You're old, Elle. No problem. All right, so at the bottom it says, licenses are governed by, and then it says Real Estate License Act, known as Title 45, Chapter 15. And the rules and regulations are set up by the Commission. We'll talk about the Real Estate Commission in a second. Known as Title 11, Chapter 5, Administrative Code. What I want you guys to write in front of this, right here, I want you to write NJAC, NJAC, and then you're going to put 11:5. So those 2 dots, 5. Because you're going to see it later in the book, it says NJEC 11:5. You need to remember that it's New Jersey's Administrative Code, Title 11, Chapter 5. Okay? All right. You guys good? Next. On the right-hand side says if you want to check the statute and the rules, you can. They're all the way at the end of the book. My recommendation is that you don't, because, make sure your phones are on silent, please, is that you don't, because over the next couple of weeks, we're going to cover all the rules and regulations regarding New Jersey. So don't get distracted and go to the rules, because it could get confusing. We're going to go over everything here with explanations. Does that make sense? All right. So with that being said, it says Real Estate Commission. Real Estate Commission. So the New Jersey Real Estate Commission is a division of the Department of Banking and Insurance. And it's composed of 8 members. Make sure you underline that. 8 members appointed by the governor. 5 of these members are real estate brokers who have been licensed as such for at least 10 years. Okay? So 8 members, 5 real estate brokers, licensed as such for at least 10 years. 2 are chosen from the general public, and 1 represents the Department of the State Government. Here's something to remember. All members serve 3-year terms, except for the governmental member who serves at the pleasure of the governor. So all members, 3-year terms, except for 1. And of course, the governor has the right to remove any member for cause. Now, you notice that all this is in yellow, right? It's not in green. So the reason why it's in yellow is because it has shown up in exams in the past. It's not as frequent as the stuff I have in green, right? But it did show up in a couple exams in the past. I cannot predict the future exams, right? But I can tell you the experience I've had with the previous exams. This book, for the past 2 years, has not changed much of the highlights. I try to keep it up to date with the current questions. If there's any change, I'll change here as well. There is going to be a few things I'm going to mention in later chapters where I'll tell you to underline or put stars even though it's not highlighted, right? Because I have not updated yet. But based on recent experience of a few students, there were 2 or 3 new questions in the exam versus the ones that I try to point out. And if you guys pay attention to everything that I'm going to go over, or at least to 70% of it, because that's what you need to pass the exam. If you pay attention to 70%, I cover all the 110 questions times 3. Meaning, I will cover the core questions, which is what you need to pass, and then the variations of those questions. So there's really no reason not to pass. Does that make sense? So as long as you're paying attention, as long as you study at home, I always go back to this. I do my part, you guys got to do yours. If we work together, you guys pass. If we don't work together, you guys will try again. Simple. Okay? So, real estate licenses. There's different classes of license. Does anybody know what are the different, without looking at the book, without reading, does anybody know the different classes of licenses we have in real estate? Okay, so you're here to take a class to become a salesperson. So that's one class of license. Go. Broker's license, because you have to be sponsored by one. I'm going to address that in a second. What else? Referral agent, okay? And there's one more. I call it the hybrids. They're a mix. Broker salesperson. These are the 4 classes of licenses. Now, the very first one is the broker. Because without a broker, an agency does not exist. You guys got it? Without a broker, an agency does not exist. As it says right here, a broker is authorized to operate a real estate business, to hire salespersons, and to charge the public for services. Every real estate company must have, please underline, one person who is authorized broker for the entire company. And this one person is often referred to as the broker of record. Underline, double underline, put stars, arrows, bubbles, whatever you got to put. But every time you see broker by itself, it's the broker of record. And I'm going to repeat this so many times, it's going to sound like a broken record. I know, they're corny, but it works. All right. Now, you guys said you're here to take your salesperson license, right? Great. Because a salesperson works under a sponsoring licensed broker, doing business in the name of that broker, and please highlight, underline, put stars. Receiving compensation only from that broker. Make sure you circle only from that broker. So can your cousin pay you? If your cousin is your broker, sure. Right? But unless your cousin's your broker, he or she cannot pay you. Can the seller pay you? The seller. Can the seller pay you?
No.
The seller, if they're the broker, I'll always go back to that, yes. Can the buyer pay you? If they're the broker. So other than that, who pays you? The broker of record, okay? So these different people that I just mentioned, like your cousin, the seller, the buyer, they all pay the broker, and then the broker splits with you, okay? Now look right here. It says, it's not highlighted, but it's very important you guys understand this when you're out there looking for a broker to work with. Very, very important. The supervising broker is required to furnish guidance and direction, and is personally responsible for the real estate acts of the salespersons under his or her supervision. So the most important thing for you guys to remember when you're broker hunting or agency hunting is what kind of guidance and direction you're going to get. To me, you shouldn't be looking at commission. You should be looking at guidance. Because I can offer you 200% commission if I want. But if there's no support, if there's no guidance, you're going to make 200 of what? 0. And 200% of 0 is 0. Okay? A lot of people talk about franchises, the big names. That's great. Working for a Keller Williams, working for a Remax, Century 21, whatever franchise it is, it's great. Just like a smaller company is great as well. What you need to remember is that the broker of each office is totally different from the other. So even within the Keller Williams, there's good offices and there's bad offices. Within the Remax, there's good offices and there's bad offices. So I wouldn't go anywhere because of a brand name, if that makes sense. Right? And some people might hate me, whoever's watching might hate me right now, but I don't advertise a Keller Williams. I'll tell you a good one is, for instance, in Metuchen, Keller Williams Elite. Great broker, great system. Does that make sense? That's what I would do. Somebody talks about Remax. I have a couple of Remaxes that I can refer you to. That I'll do. Coldwell Bankers as well. So I'm not too focused on the brand name. I'm more focused on the type of leader that you have. You guys got it? And the other thing is look for fees. If you're paying too many fees up front without doing a sale and you're not ready for it, that also affects you. All right? So make sure there's a good combination between whatever fees you pay and whatever leadership you get. You guys got it? So, very important. Guidance, supervision. Number 3, broker salesperson. This is the hybrid I was telling you about, the broker salesperson, right? It says right here, a broker salesperson has fulfilled all the requirements, we'll talk about it later, of a broker, yet they choose to work in the sales capacity for and in the name of another broker. So who is a broker salesperson? They took the course to become brokers, right? They paid the fee to activate their license, but they don't want to be the broker of record yet. They just wanted to get it out of the way. Sometimes they get better benefits within the agency. Sometimes it depends on the agency you're in. Sometimes it's just to open up a branch office because I need you type of thing, right? But they're just not ready either mentally or financially to open their own. But again, it's out of the way. So they still choose to work under the broker of record. You guys got it? So all I'm saying so far is broker of record on top, salesperson, broker salesperson, and the next one, referral agent. These are all under the broker of record. Okay, so a broker salesperson cannot tell you what to do. A broker salesperson cannot pay you, right? They could be guidance, they could be support because they have experience. But that's it. You guys got it? Very important that you remember this. And then we have referral agents. Now, referral agency still exists, but the license itself in New Jersey does not exist. Your license as a referral agent is now called a salesperson license, just like the other ones. The difference is, and unfortunately I have to address it this way so you understand, the difference is we have an active company, so let's say New Direction Realty, right? And we have New Direction Referral Company. If you choose to be on the referral agency side only, then you're going to work under the New Direction Referral Company. So now it's distinguished by 2 separate companies versus 2 separate licenses. You guys got it? So you're going to be appointed with a referral company versus an active company. That's the difference. But the gist of it is the same. A referral agent is allowed only, make sure you circle, only to refer prospects for brokerage services to the supervising broker or broker's designate. What does this mean? It means, hey, Ron, I have a buyer. Would you like to have the buyer? Would you like to help the buyer? Great. I can never say my buyer because I'm a referral agent. It becomes your buyer. You guys got it? Now, I show up in the beginning to give the client to Ron, and then at the end to collect the check from Ron's broker. Simple. Does that make sense? Because I get paid from the broker. Now, that's assuming that we're in the same agency. And we're going to go over all this today. It's assuming we're in the same agency. If I'm in a separate agency and I refer to Ron, then his broker is going to pay my broker the referral fee. You guys got it so far? Because only brokers can pay. Questions?
He has to work only for that one broker, or he can work for
All these licenses, only one broker in New Jersey at a time. That's going to be chapter 2. We can only work for one broker at a time. Can you get a license in different states? You can. Can you work under different brokers in different states? Well, there's 50 states. We're talking about 50 brokers, sure. But in New Jersey, only one broker at a time. Can you move to a different brokerage at any time? You're independent. We're going to talk about this. You're totally independent. You guys got it? Cool. Now, something to remember as well is that all initial renewed or reinstated licenses are issued on a biennial term that expires on June 30th of odd numbered years. June 30th of odd numbered years. We are in 2020, right? Okay, just want to make sure. Is this an odd or even year? Even. So do we have to renew our license this year? No. Only 2021. And if you get your license this year, you still have to renew it next year. It's set in stone. Every odd numbered year, we need to renew our license. Okay? What you guys might get away with, we're going to talk about later, is continuous education. You might be able to not have to do continuous education if it's within a year of renewal. Continuous education is something, again, we're going to go in detail later, but it's something that you have to understand. The market is constantly changing. Regulations are changing, right? So we should be always training and improving, correct? That's what continuous education is all about. One is going back to basics, which we'll talk about. It's ethics, for instance. And two is moving forwards, improvements. You guys got it? So that's what CE credits are about. So every 2 years, you have to do this. Now, I'd like to go over some statistics real quick. I know this says 2017. The number has not changed much from here, maybe 106 or 107,000, I think it is. But in 2017, there were approximately 93,000 brokers, broker salespersons, salespersons, and referral agents altogether, and 375 real estate instructors. Now, is this a lot? It is, Ron?
I think so.
You think so? It's a lot of people, a lot of brokers, so you're looking at competition, right? Maybe a little bit, maybe a lot, I don't know. No competition. Because in New Jersey, there's a little bit over 9 million people. So 9 million people, right? And now you're thinking, well, Bruno, but 9 million people, not everybody buys. Great, because not everybody sells. Not all agents, brokers, broker salesperson, salesperson and referral agents are active. I mean, their license is, but they are sleeping. You guys understand what I'm saying? A lot of people say, oh, Bruno, in Newark, because that's my market, there's too much competition. There's too many agents. No, there's not. There's not enough smart agents. Let's start with that. There's a lot of agents that could be capitalizing on what's happening to Newark, and they don't. And then there's the superstars, the ones that are fully focused on the growth of Newark. Does that make sense? That happened in Jersey City, happened in Harrison, Kearney, it's happening all over. Some people actually wake up and do something. Others are sleeper cells. They're just like dormant. And one day they wake up and be like, ooh, I should have renewed my license. So they even lose their license. That's how bad it is. You guys understand what I'm saying? So no competition whatsoever.
I wasn't thinking of it from that perspective. I was thinking of it from an inventory perspective. Like, it's only so much inventory
Yeah?
on the market. Like, that, from that.
So I understand what you're saying, but we go back to the point where not everybody does what they're supposed to do. A lot of people are afraid of this old system called door knocking. A lot of people rely only on social media. A lot of people rely only on leads. A lot of people go to agencies, because they provide me leads, I'm going to go to the agency. But then you're afraid of picking up your phone. You see what I'm saying? So there's no inventory because we don't work for it. It is tough. Especially here in this market, a lot of people are like, you know what, I'll put my house on the market once it's worth $1 million. So they hold. And if you're good enough to explain to them, you can hold, but the market has a cycle. And that cycle means that eventually we're going to have a downturn. So your houses, instead of going up in value, they might stabilize or might drop. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the right time to sell is now. By the way, the answer is always now. You know why? Exactly what I'm telling you. We cannot predict the future. We can kind of guesstimate when this is going to happen. I assume now by the end of this year, we're going to see some stabilization or even a drop. But between this year and next year, that's going to be it. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the right time to sell is now. But we can wait to see what happens. Does that make sense? And if it happens to be a downturn, just like we had in 2008 or 2009, your house will go from $1 million to 300. So again, your house is now we're able to list your house now for 800,000. When's the right time?
Now.
Go back to it. Does that make sense? And if they still insist on the no, there's another house next door. And the problem is, you saw what I said, they still insist on the no. There's a lot of agents that are afraid of this tiny word, no. They don't go door knocking, they don't pick up the phone because they're afraid of the no. If you guys are over 18, just saying, if you guys are over 18, you know that you heard no several times, right? My 2-year-old is constantly listening to the no. He still doesn't care. So why do you care about a no? You see my point? No just means next opportunity. You said no? Great. Next. You said no? Great. Next. Because after 100 no's, you get one yes, and he pays for everything you've been working for. Does that make sense? And those 100 no's you got, they'll become yeses along the way. Simple as that. Focus on getting that one no. The second no. The third no. Go for it. Go for the no. There's actually a great book. It's called Go for No. And that's what it is for salespeople. Go for the no. That's what you want. The more no's you get, the more successful you're going to be. If you get one no and you back out of it, then hey, you're not meant for this. You guys got it? Next. We got Lucy watching as well. Hey, Lucy. All right, so next. Did anybody come here to get a Realtor license? Or you've heard of a Realtor license? Anybody? No? You're saying yes, you're saying no,
I never.
all of us? No. No. Because a Realtor is not a license. Salesperson is. A Realtor, for you to be calling yourselves Realtors, right? You have to be part of the National Association of Realtors. It's a membership. It's like a union. Once you're part of it, you have certain benefits. You guys got it? But until then, you getting the New Jersey Real Estate Salesperson license. You want to become a Realtor is a status. A union status. You guys got it? So you can never advertise yourselves in your business cards or flyers or on social media, wherever you do advertisement. You can never say, I'm a Realtor, without being part of the National Association of Realtors. You guys got it? Very important. Sorry. I made these walls soundproof. I didn't make the windows soundproof. So Elle, watching from home, we don't say, I hope I pass. She just wrote, I hope I pass. We don't say I hope, it says I will. Simple as that. Because I hope you're already putting some doubt in it. Never put doubt in what you're about to do. All right, activities covered. It says when the work is being performed for another person and in anticipation of a fee or commission, a broker's license is required to, make sure you mark the bullet points, list real estate for sale. On top it says, sell, exchange, buy, auction, or rent real estate, collect rent, solicit prospective purchasers or sellers, negotiate a real estate loan, sell lots or other parcels for a developer, sell business opportunities that involve real estate, or attempt to do any of the above. So you need to be a broker in order to do these. But that's not the license you guys are here to get, except for Louis. You're here to get the salesperson. So let's figure out what you guys, the salespeople, do. Right here it says, a salesperson license allows the holder to operate under the supervision of a licensed broker. I want to make sure you guys put a circle right here. To assist in. So you work under the supervision of a broker to assist the broker in doing what? Well, negotiating the purchase, sale or exchange of real estate, negotiating real estate loans, leasing, renting, and collecting rent, and selling lots or other parcels for a developer. So this is all you can do. Now my question is, in every class I ask this because it's very important, to me at least, that you guys understand the difference. What is missing from these bullet points that you thought that as a salesperson you would do, but you might find those in the broker's bullet points? There's one thing missing that most people think they do. Compare the bullet points. What's missing on the list of stuff that you would do as a salesperson? Anybody?
Sell business opportunities.
Say louder.
Sell business opportunities.
Okay, so it's not here. Obviously, brokers do that. Yes, we don't do it, but we are under the negotiating right here. The purchase, sale, or exchange of real estate, because business opportunities are attached to real estate. We're going to learn that in chapter 17, that we can help people sell their business as long as there's real estate involved. But there's one that's a little bit more obvious that you thought you would do, but it's not under your list. But it's not on your list. Say louder. List real estate. Who does the listing of the real estate? The broker. But you're probably thinking now, wait a minute, the broker doesn't come in to me or with me to knock on those doors. I do. The broker doesn't advertise. I do. So how come I don't list? Because the listing belongs to the agency. You are, right here, assisting the broker. So our job is to knock on those doors, right? Or make those phone calls or make those connections, the networking, right? And bring as many leads as we can. Once we get somebody that wants to sell, we list that property through our brokerage. So if we ever leave the brokerage, the listing stays behind because it belongs to the brokerage. If you work for Remax, it's a Remax listing. If you work for Century 21, it's a Century 21 listing. Does that make sense? So only the broker can list the real estate for sale. We are the ones that go knock on those doors and get the leads, but it's listed by the broker. Because as you're going to learn later, we represent somebody. The flag that we bear is somebody's flag. So if it's Remax flag, then everything you do is under the name of Remax. You guys understand? So we don't do that stuff. Again, what we do is negotiate that sale or the purchase or the exchange of real estate. So we knock on the door, say, hey, would you like to sell? We're negotiating the sale. You find the buyer, would you like to buy? We're negotiating the purchase on behalf of the broker, always. Okay, this has to be very clear because there's a lot of questions in the state exam about the role that you play as a salesperson and the role that the broker plays. Does that make sense? There's a lot of questions of the client and who they contract with. Even though we prepare the contract, we're doing it on behalf of the broker. So it's the client and the broker that contract. Does that make sense? So tomorrow's chapter is going to be a lot about this. And usually I like to say that the first 3 chapters are the core chapters. They're the most important. Why? Because the majority of the state exam is based on these 3 chapters. Once we get to chapter 10, 11, and 12, we're always going to come back to these 3 chapters. There's a lot of references to it. You guys got it? So study everything, but put extra focus on the first 3 chapters. Okay?
I have a question. If
Yes.
I'm working now in Remax, I get a client, and then I move to other company, other broker, and that client call me and say, "Oh, hi, how are you? Want to buy some company?" So that is under the law or no? If I'm in the other company,
Okay.
but this is from Remax when I was in Remax.
So here's 2 things that might happen, that could happen. So this client of yours, if they're under contract with Remax, right, then they're a Remax client. If the contract is over and they now want to buy with you and you're in a different agency, that's a different story. But you still have to see your independent contractor agreement. Some agreements, let's say you're with Remax, as you were saying, some agreements state that all the leads acquired while doing business for Remax belong to Remax. So is it possible that your client that later on wants to do business with you, is it possible that that client belongs to Remax? Yeah, it is possible. So you might owe Remax some type of fee or commission for taking the client away, even if you're like 10 years from now. So you have to read your contracts carefully. Okay?
So it depends on the contract I have with the company.
Yep. Most of them, they're very generic, standard contracts, and we have a sample of this in the next chapter. But, and they state that all the business, active business belongs to Remax. It does not state anything that's inactive, meaning leads that you acquired along the way, but you didn't do anything with them. Does that make sense? Or if the business is done, then you should be able to work somewhere else and bring your book of business. You should be able to, unless they added a clause or made changes to the contract. Again, read. Never sign anything without reading. Unless you're joining us, then don't read anything. Good? You're welcome. Now, we're going to learn along this book, we're going to learn that every rule has exemptions or exceptions. Every rule, except one, and we'll talk about it in chapter 4. But every rule has an exemption. So that means that there's ways to get around things, legal ways. For instance, a real estate license is not, circle not, required for owners handling their own property as unrepresented sellers. We refer to these as for sale by owners or FSBOs. Have you ever heard this before? For sale by owners? Okay. Do you guys know what a for sale by owner is? Anybody? What is a for sale by owner?
If I have property, I have to sell.
Okay. Yes, that we got that already. But what's a for sale by owner? Say it louder. He believes or she believes that not having an agency is better for them. Sometimes it's true. Most of the times it's not. So for sale by owner is somebody that wants to save a couple of bucks and realize quickly that it's been 6 months on the market and nobody's grabbing. A for sale by owner is somebody that got tricked at one point or believes to be tricked by agents. So therefore, you know what? I don't need you. But here's the reason why you should always have representation. 1, emotional detachment. I have my own properties and I don't list my own properties. Emotional detachment. You know why? Because if I'm showing you my house and you start complaining about my colors, we have a problem. Right? You're not getting out of that house alive. I'm letting you know right now. You complain about my colors, you stay here forever. You see what I'm saying? Emotional detachment. There's a lot of people that when they're looking at houses, a lot of buyers, even tenants, and they pick at everything. Oh, no, I don't like this, I don't like that. right? How are you going to feel if you represent that person? And it's your own house. Think about it. The other thing is exposure. If I do a for sale by owner, where am I going to put it? A sign in the yard and maybe Craigslist, maybe Facebook Marketplace? Maybe. You see what I'm saying? No exposure. You use a realtor and there's exposure, because not only do we put on Craigslist, Marketplace, and a bunch of other places, but we also put on the MLS. The MLS, the multiple listing service or system, is where us realtors share our listings. So now there's over 100,000 realtors. You see what I'm saying? Who are actively looking for properties, Mr. and Mrs. For sale by owner, right? That means the odds of you getting your house sold in a shorter period of time are greater than you trying to sell on your own. So you are saving 6% commission maybe, but if you consider the amount of time it's going to be on the market, you're actually spending way more than the 6% commission. And those are the things we need to realize and be able to express to these for sale by owners. All right? Do they need a license? No, it's their own house. Should they use a licensed salesperson? Absolutely. You guys got it? Next. Attorneys, executors, trustees, receivers, administrators, legal guardians, and others handling real estate, please underline, under the order of a court. That's the thing you need to remember, under the order of a court. All these, if the judge says, hey, ISIS, can you please help this person sell the house? If the judge is saying, could you please do it, right, or giving you an order directly, then you're not practicing real estate, you're under the order of a court. If you liked it and now you're doing it on a daily basis, yeah, you need a license. Does that make sense? But if it's order of the court, remember this, because state exam, that's how they trick you, right? Order of a court, the judge said so. You have to comply. You got it? Questions? Good. Next it says banks and trust companies and also insurance companies. I want to point out something over here. It says insurance companies. There might be a question in the state exam or school exam even. There might be a question that says all of these need license except, or none of these need licenses except, because that's how the questions are. If the question is none of these need licenses except, then in the 4 answers there's going to be one that says insurance brokers. Now, insurance companies are exempt. Insurance brokers are not. And I'm telling you this because our brain is funny. Have you ever spoken to somebody and they say one word and you assume already something else? We're all guilty of that, right? Assumption is like the worst thing, right? I was going to say what it means, but since we're live, I prefer not to. But assumption is one of the worst things that can happen. The moment you see insurance broker as an answer, in your mind, all you saw was broker. And because you saw broker, right, they're good. They're licensed already. So, does that make sense? But because it's insurance broker, they still need to get their real estate license. They're not exempt. You guys got it? There's a big difference between real estate broker and insurance broker. One is for insurance, the other is for real estate, as it is obvious. What is not obvious is what you'll read immediately, broker. So pay attention. Just a quick reminder, the exam is 4 hours, up to 4 hours. So you have plenty of time to read. Okay? Make sure you read the questions calmly. Next. Payment for services. As I usually say, this is the only thing that matters in the whole book, then you can throw it out. Right? And it says right here, very, very important. To collect a commission, one must be licensed at the time that the service is performed. So my only example, and the best example I can give, is your license expires tonight. Your closing is tomorrow. Are you getting paid? No, because you're not actively licensed. You're going to be sad. Your broker is going to be very happy because they don't have to split commission. Does that make sense? So make sure you keep your license active. And with that being said, for you to keep your license active, between licenses, renewal, member dues, association dues, and all that stuff, if you spend $1,000 a year, it's like too much. It's way less than that. But let's say $1,000 a year. All it takes is a referral or a rental, and your fees are paid. Even if you don't do anything else the whole year, your fees are paid. So why not keep your license active? There's some people that give it up, like, I don't have the time. Well, here's the beauty about real estate or insurance or any other of these independent licenses. You can do full-time, part-time, sometime, and even no time. You got no time, refer. You got some time, just do it. You want to do part-time? Great. You want to be full-time? You're crazy. Does that make sense? So there's no excuse to making money. We make those excuses because our life is based on excuses. Does that make sense? So if you got somebody who wants to buy, refer. Don't have the time, refer. Right? I just referred a client to Ron a few minutes ago. And I came back when he closed, right, to get my commission. That's it. No time whatsoever. I only had time to introduce the client and time to go and collect my check. Tell me you don't have time. You see my point? All right? So make sure your license is always, always, always active. Yes? Great. Look what it says next. It is illegal, underline illegal, for anyone to share in any portion of a commission without a real estate license. At this point, I like to bring Exhibit A, friends and family. Exhibit A to this part is that friends and family, they love you so much, they'll give you a bunch of business if you give them something in return. Friends and family are the first ones. Yeah, I got some, this guy wants to buy. How much am I getting out of this? Right? Shirley knows. Ron's agreeing. Right? Friends and family. The worst leads come from friends and family because they expect to get paid. And the moment you say, hey, I can't give you anything. Fine, I'll find somebody who can. And then they go list the property with somebody else or buy the property with somebody else. And that's the worst feeling. There's a lot of memes that go on the internet about that. Me crying when I see my brother went to list with somebody else. Right? There's memes like that. Realtors, that's how we feel. Don't be offended. There's plenty of business out there. You don't need friends and family for that. Friends and family is for the love, right? The understanding, the support, and all that, but we don't need them for leads. In fact, be ready. And I'm not saying all people are like this, but the majority are. This happened to a student of mine. While she was taking class, her brother and sister-in-law decided to list the property. You couldn't wait another week or two? But that's the thing. They remembered her from doing house cleaning, not from real estate. So what kind of experience do you have in real estate? None. And that's what they saw. I'm not going to list with my sister. You kidding me? She doesn't know anything about real estate. She's just getting her license. So let's sell now, because at least we have an excuse. She's still not licensed, and we need her to sell now. Guess what happened in this case? The sister brought the buyer. Simple. I'm not capable of selling your house? Fine. I bring the buyer to buy your house. So she proved them wrong. And right now she's very successful. You see my point? Don't expect that from family and friends because they want always something in return. It's either money or somebody with experience. And if you have no experience, they'll cut you off real quick. All right? Again, I'm not saying every family or every friend is like that, but just don't put in your mind my list of friends and family is going to save me in the beginning. Don't do that. It could be very disappointing. Now, the next sentence. I don't have it highlighted, but I want you to pay attention to it, and I'm going to tell you what to underline in a second. It's not highlighted, but I want you to underline something. Because there is a question that I saw common in 3 exams lately of 3 different people. They asked me the same question. So it says here that the broker may share commissions only with his or her associated salespersons and referral agents or So I can share commission with my people or with another broker. So let's say these are two different agencies, right? I can share commission with my agents or with another broker. And that other broker is then going to share with his or her agents, whoever completed the sale. All right? So that's what we call a cooperative listing. That's when you list and they bring a buyer. Brokers are cooperating in getting the house sold. Or with a referral, including a broker who isn't licensed in another state. So if you have somebody moving down to Florida, as an example, can you sell real estate in Florida even though you're here? You're licensed in New Jersey only? We cannot. But what can we do? Refer to a broker in Florida. And the broker in Florida, a state where you are not licensed, the broker in Florida has to pay you a referral fee. Did you guys get it? All right. So tell me there's no way to make money in real estate, right? Here's the thing. You got to remember, brokers can pay their own agents or another broker. They can never pay somebody else's agent. But the broker, yes. And if it's a referral to another state, it's okay as well. Between brokers only. So underline where it says only and underline with another broker. Only, so you remember, only with his agents or with another broker. You good? By the way, I'm always going to be checking on you guys. Ask me if you're good, if you're okay. All right, so make sure you ask questions. You know, I'll give you a break in a little bit, but make sure you ask as many questions as you can. Now, every rule has what? An exception, of course. So, this rule about payments to non-licensed people also has an exception. So this is after a new law went into effect in early 2010. So the law passed in 2009, but early 2010 it went into effect. And please highlight, underline, put stars, arrows, bubbles, whatever you got to put. It allows a selling broker to rebate part of the commission to a buyer in the form of either a credit or a check. Where it says selling broker, guys, selling broker, I want you to put a circle around it and put an arrow towards this empty space because you're going to write something. Circle, selling broker, an arrow towards the empty space, and you're going to write buyer's broker. Buyer's broker. Because there's two types of brokers. There's the listing broker and the selling broker. The listing broker deals with a seller. The selling broker is the one that accomplishes the sale. That's the one that brings the buyer. And it gets confusing because you think, well, selling broker represents seller. No. One lists, advertises, right? The other one brings the buyer and sells whatever's advertised. You guys got it? So there's a big difference between listing broker and selling broker. Selling broker represents always the buyer. Could you represent both? Yes. But the one that accomplishes the sale is always the one that brings the buyer. Good? Now, why would we, in this sentence right here, why would we give money to a buyer? Isn't the buyer supposed to have money to buy? Why would we give money to a buyer? And it's funny because I just, on Friday, I was driving down south and I stopped for gas and I stopped for coffee, right? Can't live without my coffee. So I stopped for coffee, and there's a bunch of flyers out there from a real estate agency. And I picked one because it stood out. So whatever it said, it stood out. And I'm reading that flyer. And in the back of the flyer, it said, 20% rebate to the buyer. I'm like, why would you do that up front? Why are you advertising yourself as a discounted realtor? You guys understand what I'm trying to say? You either, okay, let me address this first. Why would you give money to a buyer if the buyer's supposed to have money? Let's see if you guys think. Say louder.
Incentive.
Incentive, okay. What else? That's it? Incentive?
Well, to help, just in case, they need help with like closing costs and, those.
But that's at closing. So you're advertising already up front. Don't worry about it. I got you. What else? All right. Let me ask you something. If Kohl's or Macy's or a restaurant has, hey, come here on a Tuesday because it's cheaper. We'll give you 20% off if you come eat on a Tuesday or come purchase on a specific day, right? What are they trying to do? Lure you in, right? Why? Because for restaurant business, as an example, Tuesdays are the worst days. So if it's my worst day, I'm discounting to make sure that I get business. Is that what you're worth, a discount? You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't have enough, please, I'll give you my commission back to you. Just, come on, buy with me. You see my point? You advertise yourself as a discounted realtor, guess what they expect? Discounts every day. And you're going to be known as a discount realtor. You're going to be known as, hey, go with Olga, because Olga, right, Shirley, you want to buy, go with Olga, because she's going to give you part of her commission back to you. Everybody's going to want to buy with Olga. Do you see what I'm saying?
To do nothing to something.
Yeah. So you're I don't agree with that personally, because I know I'm worth more than that. If I'm always going to discount myself, people that are looking for discounts, and by the way, I'm like the first person to look for discounts. So don't get me wrong in what I'm about to say. But if people are always looking for a discount, most of the times they don't have the money to buy. Okay? Most of the times. For real estate, they don't have the money. So they look for the ones that will charge less. You guys get it? Simple as that. So you're going to get the people that are going to give you headaches by always giving out. This is my opinion. Right? You can do whatever you want. Some people advertise themselves as a rebate brokerage, where the whole brokerage always gives out money back. But you have to know your worth. You can use it as a marketing tool to lure people in, right? As long as your broker allows. And most of the times your broker is going to be like, hey, as long as the house makes whatever the house has to make, you can discount your commission all day long. Just don't touch the house. Say louder.
That's dumb to me.
Hey, it is what it is. Now, let's piggyback on what Ella was saying, right? Very simple. Hypothetically, if we get to the closing table and the buyer does not have enough money to close, because life happens, or because you failed to estimate how much money they needed at closing. So now we're at the closing table and the title company goes, well, Mr. Buyer, now we need an extra $1,500 for the closing costs. $1,500. Your commission is about to be $10,000 or $12,000. How much does it hurt you? Does it really hurt you to take $1,500 out of your commission? It's not like you're putting out of your pocket, you're just receiving less. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So now you're helping, like Ella was saying, you're helping the buyer with the closing costs. What we're going to read in a little bit about rebates is that you're supposed to advertise up front. But nothing stops you at closing from making a deal with your broker. Because yes, even though you're the one at the closing table, you have to call your broker for permission to reduce your commission. You guys got it? Mm-hmm. At that point, it's not dumb anymore. At that point. Because walking away from a $10,000 commission just because of $1,500 makes no sense to me. I know somebody that walked away from a $23,000 commission because of $5,000 that the buyer did not have. Right before Christmas. I don't know if you guys are doing the math, but 23 minus 5 is 18 right before Christmas. I mean, all gifts paid. Just saying. But this person walked away from the deal. The buyer did not have. So this person calls the mortgage guy and goes like, hey, the buyer does not have the 4,800, whatever it was, that they need to close. Would you be willing to reduce your commission? Like, why are you asking the mortgage person to reduce their commission? Are you that greedy? This is true stories. By the way, all my stories are either true by myself, like living it, or true by somebody close to me living it. So $18,000, that's how much he lost. They wind up closing 6 months later. But just so you guys know, January is the slowest month. January and February is the slowest month for realtors. You had an opportunity to make $18,000 right before that. You see my point? By the way, nothing stops you from making a deal with a buyer. Hey, I'm going to lend you, credit you right now the $5,000 at closing, pay me back at 6% within 2 years or within a year. Nothing stops you from doing that. And then it becomes a vendor or mechanics or contractor lien against the property if they don't pay. You just gave a credit at the moment. Nothing stops you from negotiating. I'm just giving you a heads up. This is a great law. I'm sorry? Well, obviously all these things have to be a deal with the broker because when they pay back the brokerage. You guys got it? But you're going to lose the deal because of this?
Maybe you should say why. Just
I know why, because that person is very close to me, so I know why. But anyway, it's just personalities.
It's not valid.
It's, yeah, no. Personalities. When you're greedy, you're greedy. But it didn't happen.
So not on subject, but just one question I forgot to ask at the beginning. Do you usually, I know you're doing the live thing, do you usually take any breaks during? Or?
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys a break in a little bit. So
okay.
we end this chapter. Between chapters, I always give like at least 10 minutes break.
Stretches. Yeah.
1 to stretch, and 2 for me to set up the next session live.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I do. We're still like a good half an hour away, but we'll get there. Do you need to stretch now? You can get up. I mean,
Yeah, I'm good.
jump up and down, whatever.
It's a little warm.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So usually I try to do an hour and a half, and then 10-minute break, then another hour and a half. So just so you know, some chapters like this one's a little longer, and then the other one's be shorter. But that's usually that's what I try to do: an hour and a half, and then break, and then another hour and a half. Back to this. So I just want to show you how ridiculous these things are and how you can help your buyers. Another true story by somebody close to me, the broker. You guys met Pedro, right? It happened to him a few years back where he was at a closing table and the seller had a built-in closet that he was supposed to take down. Didn't. The buyer did not want that built-in closet. I always talk about this because of the nominal fee involved. The cost to remove was $500. We're at the closing table and the seller's saying, nope. And the buyer's saying, nope. The seller says, I'm not going to take it. The buyer says, I don't want to buy it if you don't take it. $500. This is the dispute happening between them. You guys understand what I'm trying to say? Yes? So guess what happened?
Pedro went to the math machine.
No. They just contacted the brokers and they split the fee. The other side initially did not want to do that. What? $250 less? I'm not doing it. So Pedro was even willing to do the whole $500 because he was about to make $15,000 commission on this one. But even if it was $1,000, you're losing $250. It's still money in your pocket. This is how ridiculous it gets. So be ready. Do not lose a deal because of something as dumb as $250 or $500, even $1,000. You are getting paid. You got it?
But you always have to let your broker know what's going on, right? Like if you say, I'm going to put $5,000 deducted from
Everything with your broker. Yep, absolutely. All right. Sorry. All right. Next thing, I think we already understood this. Finder's fees, which is money or gifts to unlicensed persons who refer buyers or sellers, are also forbidden. So So if your cousin refers somebody to you, sorry, can't get paid, forbidden. If a mortgage company refers somebody to you and you refer to the mortgage company, also forbidden, unless you're a licensed loan officer and you get paid under that type of setup, okay? All right, so Iran, your wish is your command. I need to go do something, just 5 minutes, quick break, get up, stretch, and I'll be back. Just 5 minutes, I'm sorry, okay? Take advantage of that.
Para no caerme de boca, yo como tengo ese, ¿cómo se dice? Instinto, me agarré de acá, pero creo que no sé por qué, me agarré con esta, y como fue con esta, el pie quedó así, se dobló, y me senté en el pie y caí dos escaleras, entonces se quedó el pie así, se quedó así. Entonces ellos dicen que supuestamente no se había roto ningún hueso cuando hicieron el examen, pero cuando el pie estaba así, que se dio así, se hizo una bola aquí hacia el lado.
me hicieron una emergencia, no aguantaba el dolor, entonces se me hizo así enseguida, me bola. Y me hicieron y me dijeron que se habían roto los ligamentos. Me pusieron algo para que no se muera, para ir al día siguiente a la ortopédica. Y la ortopédica me ingresó el pie por 3 semanas. 3 semanas me sacaron y de ahí yo no podía sentar en el cama. Sí, después ya de yeso, pues sí, no, sí me yeso. 3 semanas no me fue. Me sacaron y me dijeron que me tomaron otro, y me dijeron que no, que tenía que no sentar el balón por 2 meses. Sí, ya, sí, entonces después que pasó eso, el 11 de enero, me dijo que empiece a sentar.
Pero le dieron.
Sí, me dieron esta agua porque empiece a sentar, y empezar la terapia. Cuando empecé la terapia, horrible.
Me
dolía. Y empecé a sentar en casa, y después iba a la terapia, pero tenía como dolor en luchar. Entonces el terapista me paró y llamó al ortopédico y dijo, no puede ser que se haya...
En vez de salir ahí,
yo salía más con las muñecas ahí, sin asentar el pie. Y cuando me paró, yo tengo que hacer un nuevo año. Por dice que dice que a lo mejor hay un huesito que son pequeñitos,
pero no operaron.
no, solo el yeso, solo sí, pequeñitos que eran los ligamentos que estaban rotos. Entonces, creo que eso se tiene que sanar por uno solo. Eso se conoce porque eso es una pieza floja. Entonces, solita se la metí. Estoy esperando. Ahora ya si lo siguiente lo puedo tenía que andar con 2, ahora ya ando con 1.
Pero no se entra de la
No me pagaron hasta que me dan el laboral. Pero yo tenía que hacer el laboral y estaba clase. Entonces llamé a ver si me pueden hacer más tarde y me dieron ahora para el otro fecha, otra semana. Le dije, ok, pero una semana más. Esperé desde diciembre antes.
Better?
Ay, ojalá que sí.
Fine. Doing better?
You look great.
Better close this. Looks like it's
Y te da.
hotter than
Yo era una persona aquí, yo iba allí.
it's warm outside.
Yeah.
Que no estaba entonces estaba trabajando, empecé un trabajo nuevo, un part-time. Y ahora pasé muy bien.
You have a lot of salespeople on the wall.
There's a few missing actually.
You are.
I'm missing?
Yeah, I didn't see you.
Yeah, somebody took my cards. That's what it is. No, you know what it is? My cards were actually, we're done with it, and I ordered new cards. But I'm not too focused on being the realtor, more the instructor.
Right.
But we currently have 37 realtors with our agency. So some business cards are still missing, some didn't want business cards, some just got the order made, and we're growing. That's what
I was
it is.
gonna say that's because you're choosy, you're picky, or what else?
Of what?
Why do you only have 37? I mean, just because you're kind of picky, or?
No, we actually opened a year ago the real estate agency, so 37 in 1 year.
Oh, that's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot. Most agencies recruit probably 10 people a year, if that much.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we have 37. We're about to take a big growth this next couple of months. We have a few people moving over.
I felt like every class gravitate to it.
No, because, well, I try to avoid that, and that's why I say right away that we're not.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not a recruiter. Right?
Yeah, so we don't, it's not that I'm picky, it's just I want you guys to have an option to go interview out there versus, hey, just come over.
Right.
If you choose to, that's up to you. And I prefer to do it this way. There's a lot of schools out there that what they do is actively recruit, and then people join the company, and then 2 months later they're out.
Yeah.
because they found something else. So I prefer that you go find something else first, and if you like it, we're here. If you don't like it, we're here. So I prefer it this way. All right, who we're missing? Ella, and that's it.
How do you know? How do you know what's good or bad though? Like,
How do you know what's good or bad?
yeah, for me, like for me.
Well, what type of business are you looking for? See, there's agencies that are focused on investors. There's agencies that are focused on part-timers. There's agencies focused on full-timers. Some agencies that you're going to review with, they say if you're not full-time, don't even come here.
Okay.
So you
I
have
have a full-time job already.
so you need to be part-time or
Right.
sometime, right?
Right.
So you need to look for those agencies. So before you go interview, you say right away, hey, I'm a part-timer. If they say yes, you go. If they say no, you avoid that. But then you need to find an agency that's focused on part-timers. Because there are agencies, like we recruit everybody, whether it's full-time or part-time. But our main focus is towards part-timers. Because we know you have a short period of time to work with, so we focus on that. Full-timers, well, they're fools anyway, because they think they have the whole day.
I got to ask you what you feel about full-time.
Like I said, they're fools.
He just said it.
There's very few full-timers that actually take advantage of the whole day. A lot of them is got to have breakfast in the morning at the cafe. And then by the time they're done with breakfast, they're like, oh, it's lunchtime. By the time they're done with lunch, let's do some work now. But the kids are getting out of school, so I got to go pick up kids, right? Or whatever situation might be. And then by the time they actually get into their business, it's nighttime, so it's like a part-time. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So most full-timers, they don't know how to use their time. That's why I always say that some part-timers are way more successful than full-timers. Because they're focused, laser focused for those 2 hours a day. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with being full-time. I'm full-time, right? Nothing wrong with that. It's just take advantage. If part-time you were successful, full-time you should be mega successful. Just saying. Are you planning on getting out of your job or just an extra? Don't worry, I'm not going to say your name live. Your boss is
No,
not.
stuff like that. But I just don't want to get into everybody with boring stuff. You know.
Not worry, I'm pretty sure everybody wants to know if you're quitting. Right.
We know now.
Yeah, are you nosy? Right. I
was waiting on Ella anyway.
I worked with utility transit for 27 years. I got 2 more years left, so I want to kind of like phase that out. And eventually, in 2 years, I want to move down to Florida. So I was glad you brought up Florida.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get a base here where I can at least have the foundation of the real estate business, and then when I move down there, I'll be more versed.
I have a friend of mine, that student, that actually that's what he did. He got his license here.
Right.
Now, earlier this past year, he just moved down to Florida. He keeps both licenses active.
Right.
He doesn't need to.
Right.
To do the referrals, but
it's a good base to, because a lot of people are moving down from up here. So
now, yeah,
why not? Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So that is great. Yes.
One question there. Like he said, you're gonna retire in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And my question is, if disability person can work in this real estate or sales person, disability person, like my doctor say you're gonna be disability
Forever.
for good. Yeah. Can I working?
Are you going to be able to walk?
Hmm?
Are you going to be able to walk?
I don't know yet.
Okay. Are you
I'm
gonna
still
be able
waiting
to-
for my MRI. But
Are you going to be able to talk?
yes.
Okay.
To drive too.
You can either walk and talk or sit and talk, but the main thing is you have to talk.
Okay.
If you're able to talk, you're able to sell.
All right. Just a question.
Plus,
I
if
also
you,
know, right?
no, listen, but if you show up in crutches, it's going to be like, sure, I'll help you. You just go, it's for my treatment. Please sell your house. You'll get you get a bunch of leads. New Jersey Transit. I have like 3 students. They came from New Jersey Transit, and I have 2 friends of mine that actually worked with me in an insurance company years ago. And now they work at New Jersey Transit here in Newark. So
Don't tell anybody I work for transit, because that's a bad name with everybody.
really?
Those trains always late.
Hey, listen,
Not your fault.
it's not your fault. Unless you handle scheduling. Yeah, I'm the one that schedules the trains. All right. You guys good? You're back. Everybody's back. Good to go? Let's roll. So we stopped with finder's fees, and finder's fees, we know it's illegal. We're going to go into unlicensed assistants. So every office tries to have somebody to help with office work. Office work does not require you to deal with clients per se, because it could be just making copies, scheduling stuff, right? It doesn't have to be dealing with clients directly. So every office is entitled to have unlicensed assistants. These are support staff who are not allowed to perform activities that require a license. So let's figure out what they can do and what they cannot do. Now, in general, please highlight, prohibited activities are those involving contact with clients or customers. Ready? Unlicensed assistants or secretaries, they may not, in circle, may not, very important. May not show property, answer any questions about listed property, make cold calls by phone or in person, seeking business from potential listers, purchasers, tenants, or landlords. They may not discuss or explain the contract or any other real estate document with anyone outside the brokerage firm. May not make any telephone calls for rent collection. Or, I want you guys to underline this section right here, except when accompanying a licensee. Underline that. Except when accompanying a licensee. They cannot host open houses or promotion booths, distribute promotional material, or attend a home inspection. Question. What is so wrong? What is so wrong about your unlicensed assistant attending a home inspection, an open house, distribute promotional material? What is so wrong about that? Open house is open. People walk in, people walk out, and you're just there standing. Inspection, the inspector's doing the work, you're just there standing. You're not supposed to interfere. You're supposed to listen, but not interfere, right? So, and promotional material, hey, here's a 2-family for sale. Here's the flyer. What is so wrong about that? Yes?
In my ex question.
Right. The problem is questions, which would lead to an activity involving contact with clients or customers. And we cannot perform any activity that requires a license. So answering questions about listed property is an activity that requires a license. So imagine this. And I use the same example in every class because it's very direct. People walk into an open house. One of the first questions they ask is if the house is nice, right? Oh, that's a really nice house. Why are they selling? And they're asking your assistant. And your assistant, because they know more about the deal than you do, okay? Because our job is to get more listings, right? Your assistant goes, it is a beautiful house. I wish I could buy it. But I heard they're going through a nasty divorce. If your assistant said,
Private things.
I'm sorry?
She's talking private things.
Stuff that's private. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow, that private things are supposed to be kept confidential. It's one of your duties towards your client. So if your assistant told the buyer, the potential buyer, that they're going through a divorce, what just happened in this purchase? Say louder.
They could basically try to get the fees down, get the asking price down or something like that.
Absolutely.
There's an
Say louder.
urgency to sell.
There's an urgency to sell. That's what they're going to think. And then the buyer goes like, well, it's listed for 300. 200, I think, is the right price for you to get rid of your spouse.
All right.
Here's an offer. Does that make sense? So you just dropped the power to negotiate. You guys got it? That's why assistants cannot deal with the customers. They can schedule appointments, right? We're going to look right here. They can answer phones and phone calls, submit listing changes to the MLS, place signs on the property, pick up keys, deliver documents, schedule appointments for showing listed properties, set up files, track and secure documents, only under the direction of a licensee. They can have keys made for company listings, write and place ads, type contract forms, order items or inspections, prepare flyers and promotional materials, keep records of and deposit of earnest money and secure deposits and rent, and follow up on loan applications, and compute commission checks. Now, they can help. They're very helpful. Unlicensed assistants, very, very helpful. Sorry. They're very, very helpful. They can do all this stuff. To me, this is what I see. In the beginning, you guys are probably going to share assistants with somebody else. As soon as you can, get your own. In the beginning, you're going to have to do all this stuff by yourself. As soon as you can, get an assistant. Answering phones and forward calls, we can get an online system to do that. It's cheap, easy, right? Process and submit listings. This is the thing right here. This is where they start becoming very helpful. Because if you're out on the road, you don't want to have, even though everything's done now on your phone as well, or tablet, whatever, you don't want to be stopping your car or driving back to the office to make changes. So you call up your assistant or text your assistant real quick, hey, drop the price on listing whatever, or make this change on listing whatever. At the end of the day, you have 24 hours to submit the changes signed. So at the end of the day, when you go back to the office or wherever you go to, you just print the form, sign, submit. But you didn't waste the time stopping or going back and forth. Does that make sense? So here's the other one that's very important to me. Place signs on properties, pick up keys, and deliver documents. Congratulations, you just got a listing. I told you, Ron, I was telling you that if there's not enough inventory, it's our fault, right? Here's the thing. I knocked on this door. Would you like to sell? Person says yes. Great. Well, Mr. Seller and Mrs. Seller, my assistant will be here tomorrow morning to place a sign, to pick up keys, and deliver copies of your documents. I just did two things right here. I usually do this in my trainings to our agents. Two things just happened. Number one, you show the seller that you're not working alone. You have a team, right? Because if my assistant's coming in, it's not me. So you show power right there. It's strength in numbers. Number two, you freed yourself up from having to have these obligations, and you go right next door and say, hey, your neighbor's house just got listed. Do you know anybody that's interested in moving to this neighborhood? So this is something you'll learn as well, third-party removal, because your neighbor might want to buy, but because you're asking about somebody else, they might feel offended enough to say, no, nobody else, me, I want that. And several times it happens where the neighbor wants the house next door. Maybe they're a tenant here, but they really want to buy in the area. Why not the house next door? Does that make sense? Got it. So now your job is to go around and announce to the world that the house just got listed. Your job is now to market the property as much as you can. Let somebody else handle the clerical part. You guys got this? Simple. Schedule appointments. I'm telling you right now, if my life, I can show you my schedule. The whole day is scheduled. And if I don't do that, I'm completely lost. And what happens a lot of times is I forget to put on the calendar. Do you understand? That's why an assistant is very helpful. Send a voice message, send a text message. Hey, could you put on the calendar, person such and such, whatever time. And then they put on the calendar, put the details, all that stuff. If it's not that way, I'm telling you, in the beginning is easy. Once you start getting busy, forget it. Then you forget to call clients. You forget to you have a showing of a house. You have an assistant. This one, doesn't matter how organized you are. Once you become a salesperson, organization is out the door. Make sure you have somebody to help you set up the files, track, and secure documents. Because what we do, salespeople, is we put in the back of the car, after the appointment, in the back of the car. And then, I don't know about you guys, but I got kids. Luckily, I don't have pets, just kids. So, I got kids, and my 2-year-old, he's a little danger. So if I have files in the back, guess where their files go? Hands of my kid. Yep. His name is Alexander. I thought he was going to be Alex the Great, Alexander the Great? No. He's Alexander the terrorist, the destructor. Huge danger. He destroys everything in his path. So, yeah, much like Alex the Great. But anyway, the point is, I cannot have files back there. So I have to have a whole filing cabinet in the back of my car, all the way in the back, where I secure the files. Does that make sense? But we don't always do that. Just throw in the back and keep going. Then we forget about it. That's why it's important to have an assistant handle all your paperwork. More value. They can make keys. You don't have to go down to the hardware store and make the keys. They can make the keys for you. Very important. Write and place ads. So marketing doesn't have to be done by you. Look at this one. Type contracts. What? I didn't even have to type a contract? No. Hey, assistant, I have a buyer for my buyer, the John Smith, wants to buy the property on 13th Avenue. Oh, you don't even have to say the whole thing because that's the only listing on 13th Avenue you have in the office, right? That property on 13th Avenue, they want to buy, put an offer of $300,000, and they go type the whole thing. You just have to review it at the end. You just saved yourself half an hour. It's less than that, but in the beginning, it's going to take you half an hour to prepare a contract or more. You guys got it? Next, order items, order inspections, prepare flyers. Again, we go back to marketing, promotional materials. You don't have to do all this. Your job, salespeople, not marketing people, right? Your job is to get more sellers, more buyers. But no, go back to the office and do all the marketing yourself. Are you guys understanding what I'm trying to say? As soon as possible, as quick as possible, get an assistant. And when I say assistant, it could be several assistants. I have somebody that does marketing for me, but I have somebody else that prepares the contract for me. Does that make sense? I have somebody else that schedules appointments for me. And I'm not saying I have somebody on the salary. I don't. I pay per service. You guys understand? There's a lot of companies out there like Upworks, Fiverr.com, where they can do small projects for you. Right now, the pictures that I have from our agents, I outsource. They're the ones that take the background, they're the ones that edit the images, and then we just send to the printer. It's another assistant. Does that make sense? Assistance doesn't have to be somebody on the salary. You got to work wise with your time and your money. They are very, very helpful. All right? Any questions on this?
Yeah, but you gotta be making money like that guy Robert, whatever his last name is, advertising.
Yeah, he's not making the money, his team's making the money.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay, so he created a team. It's like me grabbing all of us here
Right,
and saying Bruno sells New Jersey.
right.
Okay, so it's a team effort, and they have shared assistants.
Right.
You don't need to be making that money. Like I said, I pay per service, I don't pay a salary. Fiverr.com, the name says it all. You pay $5. Certain things, that's it. You see what I'm saying? In the beginning, yes, you're gonna have to struggle. Depending on where you're gonna go work, you're not gonna have these assistants provided by the office. Okay, so you have to do some of the work yourself. Some companies offer the assistance, some companies don't. And if they offer the assistance, you pay a fee at closings or monthly towards that assistant. Somebody has to pay the salary, and it's not the agency. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you don't need to make money like that guy. No. You don't even need to be that guy. Be yourself. Be unique. And you make way more money than that guy. Just saying. It's good to advertise when you have a big team. And advertise just Rob. Rob sells in New Jersey. Nothing against him. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking bad about him.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is he advertises himself.
Right.
But now you see a few advertisements, especially those digital boards that switch, right? Digital boards you see now, it still says Rob sells New Jersey, but it's a member of his team in the face. It's still Rob sells New Jersey, because that's how he's advertising. It's called SEO. So as soon as you advertise to that particular domain, it goes to his team, regardless. You guys got it? So you don't need none of that. You need to advertise yourself. You make money without the expenses that he has. All right, next. License qualifications. To become an agent, right? To become a salesperson, if you guys don't qualify, you need to get up and leave, okay? So, except for you, Shirley, won't make you leave. It's a long walk. So, to obtain a salesperson license, a candidate must be 18 years of age or older. Everybody qualifies? You got approved high school education or its equivalent. Furnish evidence of good moral character. On top, successfully complete a 75-hour course, which is what you guys are doing here right now. Disclose your social security number for child support enforcement purposes. Provide documentation of citizenship or legal residency in the United States. Pass the state examination. And most important, check this out. Most important, be sponsored by a licensed real estate broker. For what? To activate your license. Underline, to activate your license. This is very simple. As soon as you pass the state exam, they're going to give you a paper. Okay? It's not this paper, but it's just for the exam. So this paper has some stuff, but I want to show this side of the paper. What does it have?
Nothing.
Nothing. Guess what that paper is worth if you don't activate it?
Nothing.
Nothing. For you, it's great. You're able to pass, to endure 75 hours, bad jokes, and still pass the exam. Great. But it's still not making you money until you activate your license. So my recommendation, as of now, start interviewing brokers. It's not you getting interviewed, it's the broker that you're interviewing. You guys get it? Start interviewing brokers. Start talking to brokers out there and see what they have to offer. So that in 5 weeks from now, you pass the state exam, right? Put it in your mind, 5 weeks from now, you pass the state exam, and you go activate your license right away. And why am I telling you this? Because believe it or not, there's a lot of people that pass the state exam, that life gets in the way. One day we'll go interview a broker. That day never comes. And you have 1 year to activate. 1 year to activate. And the year goes by really fast.
You have time right now?
Let's go. Do you guys understand what I'm trying to say? My recommendation, as soon as you pass, slap your license somewhere. Doesn't matter where. If you don't have anybody yet, it doesn't matter where. Put your license somewhere. It's $25 to switch to a different brokerage. Just put it somewhere.
So you can talk to them prior to.
Yeah. You want to know the speech? Very simple. You go knock on their door, and you can say, hey, I'm thinking about getting into the real estate career. You're not saying you're doing classes. You're thinking about a real estate career. I would like to know what your office has to offer. Simple.
Let them talk.
Let them talk. You guys understand? You don't have to go out there and say, hey, I'm doing the real estate classes. Because I know in your mind, you're going to be like, as soon as I pass, I'll talk to somebody. Then you're setting yourself up for failure. Go talk now. Start putting things in motion. Start interviewing. See the compensation plan. See the fees. See all that stuff. Start now. You got it? Because then as soon as you pass, 5 weeks from now, what do? Activate. And again, you're independent. You can switch at any time. $25 later, you're in a different company. It's $25 in 24 hours, by the way. Because to switch from one to the other, it takes at least 24 hours. Questions? No? Great. Next, broker's license. There's not much difference between the salesperson qualification and the broker's qualification. The biggest difference is these two right here. You have to have served at least 3 years full-time as a licensed salesperson, and you must have completed at least 150 hours of study consisting of 90 hours of general broker pre-licensing course, 30-hour pre-licensing course on broker's ethics and agency law and relationships, and 30-hour pre-licensing course on office management and related topics. So, how many hours do you need to become a broker?
150.
Wrong. How many hours do you need to become a broker? Say it louder. 225 hours, because you guys are not salespeople yet.
Oh.
So you need 75 hours that you're doing now, and 3 years from now, 150.
Yeah, 150 plus 70.
All right. See, here's the thing. The question in the state exam could be in two ways. One is broad, general, like I did. How many hours do you need? 225, right? But the question could have said, John, a salesperson, right? So already did 75 hours if he's a salesperson, right? John wants to become a broker. How many hours does he need? 150. The qualifier is salesperson. If it doesn't say you're already a salesperson, how many hours do you need? 225. You guys got it?
Yeah.
Told you I was going to trick you from the beginning. All right. Everything else is the same. All right, for the referral license, I already told you guys the referral license does not exist, but you can be a referral agent or a salesperson under a referral company, right? The requirements are exactly the same as a salesperson. 75 hours, pass the school exam, pass the state exam, activate your license. But there's one more requirement. If you guys see here, you need to highlight. You must submit a certificate stating that the legal restrictions on the brokerage activity of a referral agent have been reviewed with a supervising broker, right? And also indicate that that's what you're looking for, referral license. So not only do you have to do the 75 hours and pass the state exam, you have to let the state know that your broker told you you cannot touch a contract, you cannot show a house, you cannot discuss real estate with anybody. All you're entitled to do is refer. That's the only difference with qualifications for a referral license or salesperson license. The only difference. Next. Every rule has what? Exceptions, right? So here's the thing. It says experience requirements for brokers or broker salesperson can be waived. I want you to circle can be waived. Every time you see can or maybe, it's not a definite thing, right? That means it's not guaranteed that it will happen. There's a possibility that it will. Two different things. Guarantee and possibility are two different things, right? Can be waived for an honorably discharged war veteran with a service-connected wound or disability. So if you're a veteran, you bypass the whole 3 years, because that's what I want you to write above experience requirement. You're going to write 3-year full-time. Right above the experience requirement. I'm going to go back up. Right here. Right above this, you're going to write 3 years full-time. That's the experience. Okay? So, if you're a veteran, the 3 years, we skip all that, go straight to broker. Next, it says the commission may agree to waive the education. May agree. Is it guaranteed?
No.
No, but there's a possibility. They may agree to waive the education requirement. So where it says education, I want you to write 75 hours. For a licensed broker from another state, someone previously licensed as a New Jersey broker within the past 5 years, someone who has taken equivalent real estate courses in college, New Jersey attorneys, and in some cases, certain applicants who took the equivalent pre-licensing course in another state. So you might not need the whole 75 hours. That's what it says. You guys good? All right, so pay attention. Criminals. It says, the ones laughing already know. They have a rap sheet, I know. All right. It says, no license will be issued to anyone convicted, underlined convicted, within the preceding 5 years. convicted within the preceding 5 years of forgery, burglary, robbery, any theft other than shoplifting, because shoplifting is okay, everybody knows that, right? Criminal conspiracy to defraud, or any like offense. So, there's two different things. There's you being arrested, and there's you being convicted. If you've just been arrested and you're pending trial, you're not convicted yet. So the 5 years start from that conviction. If it's been more than 5 years in 1 day, what can you do? You can become licensed, and now you can prepare contracts again. You can get into people's homes, take everything they have. If it's a business, it doesn't matter anyway, because it never mattered. Or you can conspire to defraud someone again. Or any like offense. That's what it says. So this is great. You guys laugh, I laugh, we make it as a joke, but it's a great thing. The way I see it, you come out of jail for any reason, whatever it might be, even if it's something dumb, because it happens. We're young, dumb, and stupid. We make mistakes, right? You get out, you go apply for a job, and what they say? Criminal record. Sorry, right? Here, we're pretty much saying, we'll give you a second chance. That's how I see it, a second chance program. So everybody has the ability to do something with their lives as long as they were young, dumb, and stupid when they made a mistake. And that's pretty much the letter that I prepared to the state on your behalf. You guys understand? I've helped a lot of people that made mistakes in the past by preparing a letter for them. They submit to the state and they get their license. Obviously, if the offense was something serious enough, right, then it doesn't matter what letter I prepare, right? You're still not getting your license. But if it was something light and you're like between the age of 18 and 21, you make mistakes, right? That's what it is. Next. So if you know anybody in this situation, they're not getting a job, they're not being able to do anything, there's an opportunity. Next, New Jersey does not recognize licenses issued in any other state. We have no reciprocity. What does that mean? We don't like them, they don't like us. Simple as that. You have a New York license? Yep. You still have to take the 75 hours. You have a New Jersey license, you go to New York, and they're like, you're from Jersey. If you are from PA, no problem. Jersey, we have a wall around. Okay? So, very important. If you're thinking about working in different states, Florida, you will still have to get that state's license. The advantage is 41 states allow you to do online courses. And then you just have to be there for the state exam. But you can do everything online except the state exam. Okay? If you get a New York license, it's online if you want. And then it gives you reciprocity with 13 other states, skipping Jersey. Okay? If you want Florida license, you can do the whole thing online as well. You guys got it?
Are you licensed in another state?
No. Why would I?
Just asking.
Listen, think about it this way.
I mean, New York is next door.
I was going to go with New York right now. Think about it this way. I do a referral to a New York client, right? I don't have to drive through traffic. I don't have to waste gas, pay tolls, or anything. And the referral that I get from there is probably a year's salary here in Jersey. Why would I get a license there? No headaches, just referrals. If they don't close, maybe they wouldn't close with me either, but I didn't waste my time. That's how I see it. You can be licensed in 50 states. I will be licensed in 50 states to teach. That's different. As a salesperson, referrals. Just get a good broker to work with in those states, or a good salesperson to work in those states. And that's it. Like if you go down to Florida, if you're good, I'll refer to you. Why not? Florida.
I was thinking of dropping out of this class tomorrow and
Not anymore.
just refer everybody for the $50.
You can.
Come to class.
You can.
Just get that.
You didn't even need to start the class in order to get that. We'll pay you anyway.
A lot of referrals.
It's a lot of referrals. But you see what I mean? Like, why would I get the license in other states? Referrals. The best way to make money is referrals. It's the no time. I get residual commissions on certain things that I do. Residual commissions every month
While you sleep.
while I sleep. In fact, today there should be $300 dropping into my account. It's not a lot. Sure, no problem. It's not a lot, but hey, it's extra.
That you didn't have to work, like,
Yeah.
pretty much.
How much you pay for your class? $300? If you're doing the $50, that's 6 people.
Yeah.
Refer 6 people and your class is paid for.
Right.
Simple numbers. You get your licenses. We talked about this, $1,000 to activate. Make one referral. It's paid for.
I'll give you guys my card after you know how to spell my last name.
Yeah, just make sure you use only his. Don't use yours. Use his. That's it. See, that's working smart. All right. Required experience. The experience we're talking about being full-time for 3 years. If you want to become a broker, doesn't say broker of record. It could be any broker or broker salesperson. To reach that qualification, you need to have 3 years full-time, immediately preceding the application. So if you guys see it says immediately preceding the application. Some people have been doing this for 20 years. They were full-time in the beginning, now they became part-time, and they want to become brokers? Can't. You got to be full-time 3 years prior to the application. Now, what is full-time? Full-time means that the applicant worked at least 40 hours per week between the hours of approximately 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. and was not employed elsewhere. Please highlight, underline, put stars, except on a part-time basis for no more than 25 hours a week. Put stars, arrows, bubbles, whatever you have to put. But you want to become a broker in the next 3 years? Make sure your full-time is actually a part-time for no more than 25 hours a week. See, the Real Estate Commission knows you have to pay bills. So they allow you to be part-time somewhere. But if you're not a full-time agent, what kind of experience do you have? That's how they see it.
How do they track these hours?
Great question. How do they track? There's no biometrics, there's no time clock. How do they track?
What you tell me?
Fitbit.
You know what? That's a great idea. I'm going to create a Fitbit for realtors.
Sales?
Nope.
No?
Anybody else? Louis, how do you track your experience? Who's going to say that you did the full time?
Oh, the broker.
The broker.
Oh.
Be nice to your broker, and the broker will be nice to you. Just like be nice to your instructor, and the instructor will be nice to you.
Always something for you, right?
Always something for you. You know how it is. Right? She started right. Look at that, making me coffee and all that. Learn from Marlene. You know how it is.
Remember when I gave you that coffee?
That's it. I will remember. You still will not pass it.
What do you want tomorrow? Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts?
What kind of comparison is that? Really? You want $10 or you want $1? Starbucks is always better, right? She brought me Starbucks a couple times. Why not?
We know him already, you see?
I don't care. If it's coffee, it's good. I always have coffee for you guys, but if you want to bring me coffee from somewhere else, I'll take it. Just don't bring me apples. I know for some reason in history it's been like teachers and apples. I never understood that one. But it gets stuck in your teeth and all that stuff while you're teaching is really bad. So everything else is good. All right. There might be a question about this, by the way. You can work part-time, but no more than 25 hours a week. Next, time limit on the application. I already told you guys that you have up to 1 year of the date when the candidates successfully completed the pre-licensing course. When do you guys think the pre-licensing course is complete? Because there's a huge misconception about this. When is the 1 year activated? When does the pre-licensing end?
After you pass a test,
Which test?
the state test.
Not the class test.
My test. Did I just tell you to be nice to me? See, here's the thing. As soon as you pass my test, I'm going to give you a certificate From that certificate on, you have 1 year. 1 year. You can go take the state exam 10 months from now. How many months do you have left? 2. You guys got it? It's not 1 year from state. That's very wrong. It's 1 year from completing my course. And that's not my rules. This is in the book. And it's the same rules that the Real Estate Commission has. You have 1 year from my exam. So when is the right time to take the exam? The state exam? Right away. Okay? Otherwise, look what it says. If you don't activate, what do you have to do? Take it again. Now, residents, can somebody in California have a New Jersey license? Can somebody in California have a New Jersey license? The answer is
Yes.
yes, as long as they qualify in the usual way, which is 75 hours here in class. And this could be the question, or the answer. Consent to be sued in this state. They must consent to be sued in this state. That means, if something goes wrong in this state, we're going to sue you and your broker here, not out in California. You guys got it? Next, corporations. Can a corporation be licensed? Corporation is not an individual, right? Can a corporation be licensed? The answer is yes. Because otherwise we wouldn't have a Remax, Century 21, Keller Williams, or any of those. Does that make sense? What qualifies the corporation is that they must have at least one of its officers to hold a broker's license. So one of us, we can open a corporation right now. To become a real estate agency, one of us must qualify to be the broker of record. And only the broker of record can give orders or instruct the agents. We can all be partners, but you guys cannot instruct the agents. I can. Does that make sense? Only one broker of record. On top, temporary license. Right above temporary license, I want you to write brokers, because it's a temporary broker's license. Temporary broker's license. Why is this important? See, for you guys to have your license active, you must be sponsored by a licensed broker, correct? So why do we have a temporary brokers? Well, if a broker dies or becomes mentally or physically incapacitated, then they cannot perform their duties. If they're dead, they're dead. If they're mentally or physically incapacitated, they might not be able to perform their duties, right? And the office has no other broker to carry on the transactions already in progress. What happens to your deals? They fall through. And even if they close, who's going to pay you? Nobody. So therefore, a temporary broker's license may be issued to a salesperson who has at least 3 years of experience immediately preceding the date of application. So you apply for this temporary license. It's pretty much you stepping up and say, hey guys, don't worry about it. Our broker's not here. I'm going to take over. I'm going to do what it takes for all of us to get paid. That's what it is. One of us steps up to the plate. Now there's a rule here that even though you have this temporary license, in order for you to become the actual broker of record instead of interim broker, you have to complete the qualifications for the broker's license within 1 year. So you apply today, they'll give you a temporary license valid for 1 year, and within that year you have to complete 150 hours and pass the state examination. Beyond that 1 year, that's it. The whole company collapses. You cannot conduct business anymore because all your licenses are going to be inactive. If there's no active broker, there's no active salesman. You guys got it? Yes? Great. Continuous education. We talked about this. Every 2 years you have to do what? Continuous education before you activate your license. In fact, you cannot activate your license without doing the CE credits first. And you have to do 12 hours every 2 years of approved courses. 12 hours every 2 years. If you're a referral agent, you don't have to. And the required courses must include at least 2 hours on ethics and should be completed on or before April 30th of the renewal year. On or before April 30th of the renewal year. All right. Very important for you guys to understand. I do see credits for agencies and for individuals, right? But usually they call me last minute. Your license renews on June 30th. It expires June 30th, so brand new license on July 1st, right? The commission says you have to do everything before April 30th. Guess when people call me? After this date. After this date, you have to pay $200 on top of your renewal, on top of your CE credits. When can you start doing your CE credits? July 1st. You don't have to wait for last minute. You have a whole 2 years to do continuous education. You have a whole 2 years to learn about short sales, to learn about marketing for real estate, inspections, appraisals. All these courses might be CE credit qualified. Does that make sense? Of course, you can do it with me. I don't mind. Right? I make more money. But what I'm trying to tell you is don't wait for last minute. In the first 3 years of this requirement, which started in 2011, the first 3 years, 2011, 13, right, and 15, the commission made over $300,000 in $200 fines. Everybody waited for last minute. 2 years. You guys got it? Questions? No questions? Great. Failure to renew. It says here,
Do you charge them more after the April 30th deadline?
if I charge more,
Yeah.
it depends. If we have to make an emergency class for your
Right.
office
Right.
or something specific for you,
Right.
yeah, of course, it's an emergency. I've had situations where I'm teaching on a Sunday for an agency.
Right.
Yeah, so
And Alexander wants to go to the park.
say it again.
And Alexander wants to go to the park.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that you understand. That's what it is. So would I like to charge? No, that's why I'm giving you a heads up. Start sooner. You want to do CE credits? Start sooner. Wherever you guys go, talk to your broker and say, hey, Bruno can come over, teach everybody way before that. Get it out of the way for like $50. And yours is free. That was my 30-second advertisement. All right. So that's it. Wherever you guys go, you get me there. Yours is free, and I'll make sure that everybody does it within reasonable time without having to pay $200. I'll be on top of it. I won't wait for your broker or you guys to call me. I will call you guys and say, hey, time to renew. CE credits. Got it?
Like a database.
Absolutely. And if you're last minute, I'm still going to call you and say, hey, you haven't renewed yet.
$50 extra.
You know it, per person. All right. If you fail to renew for 2 or more years, your license becomes void. If your license becomes void and you want to continue doing business, what do you have to do?
Take the test, take the course.
The course all over again, and the jokes are exactly the same. As I usually say, I'm working on new material, but 90% of the jokes are exactly the same. Hasn't changed over the past 4 years. That's how bad it is. Have you ever been to a stand-up comedy show? Right. If you've been to the stand-up comedy show of one particular person, and you've seen him probably in bars or stuff like that, whatever jokes he has at the bars, he has at the stand-up, like the special. Nothing new. Maybe 1 or 2 jokes are new. The majority is exactly the same. That's why I always wait for the specials. I don't go to the bars. Okay. License fees. Where are the fees to activate your license? $160 for a salesperson. Guess how much it is for a referral agent? A whopping $160 as well, just to be able to refer. To become a broker, your license activation is $270. To become a broker salesperson, $270. You want to open your own office, $270 on top of it. Renewal fees. For a salesperson, $100. brokers, $200. Next page on top. Please highlight. A broker who goes out of business must close out the escrow account, remove signs, notify clients, provide a commission with a name and address where past records will be available for 6 years. Make sure you circle or underline 6 years. We're going to talk about it several times in this book. Ready? You don't have to highlight this next section, but it's for you guys to understand the steps. You got to complete 75 hours. We got this. Pass the school exam. We got this. Go to the state exam, get a score report, submit that score report signed by your broker to the Real Estate Commission, along with $160 payable to the State Treasurer of New Jersey. And then you have to complete, this is the only thing you really need to highlight, complete a fingerprinting process and consent to a criminal history record check. For you to do your fingerprinting, we have all this information in the Facebook group that I'm going to add you guys to. But it's right here. It says it's handled by Morpho Trust. You can go to www.bioapplicant.com/NJ or give them a call to schedule. The cost is actually a little bit more than this, $66. It just went up. But before you schedule anything, you have to bring, it says right here, a universal form, completed universal form, as well as a government-issued ID. This link is no longer available. So you either search on Google or you go to the Facebook group and you have the link there for the actual form. Without that form, you cannot schedule anything. All the information about IDs and agency information is on that universal form. And it's specific for salespeople or brokers. Okay? If you guys search on Google, you might get the wrong one. You might get the instructor one. And if you pay for that, you might not be able to switch to something else. You guys got it? Next, it says salesperson or referral agent's license examination. You don't have to highlight it. I just put it here as reference. It's not us. It's not the state. It's handled by PSI Services. This is a private third-party company that does the testing for the state. So as soon as you pass, you're going to receive an email, because I'm going to enter you into PSI system. You're going to receive an email that says, congratulations, you're now eligible to take your New Jersey Real Estate Salesperson License exam. Click here to schedule it, right? They're going to give you up to 4 hours. You can schedule it at psiexams.com, which is that email that you're going to get, or you can call them up. Look at the difference. If you schedule online, it has to be 4 days in advance. That means if you go there today, the next available date to schedule is 4 days from now. You got it? If you want to do it tomorrow, which is what I recommend, you pass our exam, call them up. Hey, I want to do the exam tomorrow. Where can I go? Pick up the phone, call. 1 day. While it's fresh, while there's no distractions. Okay? Get it out of the way right away. The exam fee is $45 every time you go. So how many times do you want to go to the state? Once. And that's why in your tuition is included 2 exams with us. And we might allow you a 3rd time if needed, but 2 exams with us, because I prefer that you fail here and try it again here, then go to state and pay $45 every time. You got it? So don't be afraid to fail. Just make sure you fail consistently, meaning don't give up right away. You guys got it? Or pass, go straight to state, pass, and get it done with. These are the locations. My favorite is New Providence. You can go to any location. My favorite is New Providence. And North Brunswick, the shops in North Brunswick, apparently it's a good one as well. At least that's the feedback I've had from some students. I personally avoid Paramus, Parsippany, or Secaucus. The only reason why I avoid it is traffic. Unless you live close by, or you go at hours where there's no traffic, which Secaucus is almost impossible. No traffic, right? Unless you live close by or there's no traffic, I would avoid these locations. Because when you get there, you want to have your mind focused on the exam, not on the road rage you had to get there. Does that make sense? Oh, this guy cut me off, and then in your mind, for 4 hours, is the person that cut you off. Or the person that braked for no reason, right in front of you. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. So avoid these locations unless you're close by. What to bring? You have to bring 2 forms of ID. One of them must be a government-issued photo ID. The other one could be your debit card or credit card, as long as it shows your name. The examination, you're asked to be there 30 minutes before, because just like today, you have to sit down. Even if you register online, we have to sit down and verify your information, provide your ID. They ask you to make sure that your name is spelled correctly, because whatever is on your application is what goes to the state. So if your name is spelled incorrectly, your license is going to be misspelled as well. You guys got it? So 30 minutes before. It says here you have up to 4 hours to complete the examination. The examination includes 80 generalistic questions. Approximately 10% of these questions are math, so no more than 8 questions. And 30 questions are specifically on New Jersey real estate. The passing grade is 70, and the examinations are scored immediately. What I want you guys to write over here is 77 correct answers. Make sure you write 77 correct answers. Okay. Why 77 correct answers? Because it has happened where people go to the state exam, they get like a 73, and then they call me or text me, Bruno, you lied. I'm like, maybe. What did I lie about? And they say, no, you said I needed a 70% to pass. I had 73. They didn't pass me. No, there's 110. So 70% of 110 is 77 correct answers. You guys got it? Don't get it confused. You need 77 correct to pass. Mine, you need 83. Because to pass mine, you need 75%. But for state exam, you need 77 correct answers. Okay? After successful completion, the sponsoring broker, your broker, is going to submit your license to the state. And as soon as the state has it online, you could begin working. So as soon as your name pops up in the licensee name search, you can begin working under your name. Can you start an internship at an agency before that? Sure. It's just contracts cannot start until under your name until you're licensed. You guys understand? Can you come to my office as an example and say, Bruno, I have a buyer or I have a seller. Can you help me? Sure. It's just that's my lead. You're a referral. Does that make sense? Right. As soon as you get licensed, I can pay you a referral fee. Right. If you get licensed right away, then it's your deal. Take it over. Because it takes literally 3 to 4 months to close. You're not going to take, depends on how much of a criminal you are, it's not going to take 3 to 4 months for your license to be active. Does that make sense? Mine took a month and a half. It was a lot. Once they started reading what it was a lot. Most people, 5 to 10 business days, and you're active. You guys got it? Simple. We talked about CE credits. Let's go to Guaranty Fund on the right-hand side on top. Guaranty Fund. The Guaranty Fund was established to reimburse members of the public who suffer a monetary loss due to the wrongdoing in a real estate transaction. Sorry, there you go. Real estate transaction by a licensed broker or broker salesperson or unlicensed employee of a broker. So if somebody does something wrong, there's a guarantee fund that the state holds to protect the public from you guys. It says here that the party that's trying to get money from the guarantee fund must first obtain a court judgment, and in that court judgment name the real estate commission as a party to the suit, as a defendant, right? A criminal claim must also be filed against the offending party. This is where Ron quits.
No,
I'm sorry.
I want. That's a serious question, though.
I'm pretty sure.
My mom got defrauded from a mortgage broker, and that person got convicted. But is there a fund like that with the mortgage?
It's federal, not state.
Oh,
Yeah. So there's none in the state. The state has the real estate guarantee fund.
Gotcha. Right.
For mortgages, you have to see with the National Mortgage Licensing Association.
Right.
There might be. Yeah, that sucks. But the most direct answer I can give you is no.
Okay.
Because for insurance, there's none. So
Gotcha.
I imagine there's none for the mortgage as well. Next, it says maximum payment for a single claim is $20,000 per offense. So if they do pay out, the max is $20,000. And again, if they do pay out, look at the bottom. It says that once the fund pays a claim against a broker or a salesperson, that person's license is revoked. Please underline, revoked until the fund is reimbursed with interest. That means you cannot practice real estate at all until you pay back. And at that point, they're still going to have to consider whether to provide you with a license or not. It all depends on what was the cause. There might be a question in a state exam or school exam like that. That's why it's in green. They might say it's suspended for 5 years. Nope. It's revoked until payback. That's the correct answer. So they're going to give you two very similar answers, always. Two very similar answers. Your license is revoked until you pay back. All right, interstate property. Right above interstate, I want you to write out of the state. Because interstate is between different states. Out of state property. Ready? Says the rules of the Real Estate Commission contain complex requirements that must be met before any out-of-state land can be sold in New Jersey to residents of the state. It says here that the regulations contained in the Real Estate Sales Full Disclosure Act are intended, please underline, intended to protect the public from unscrupulous developers or marketers or from undue sales pressure. So if somebody in the Poconos is advertising to New Jersey residents, they must comply with certain regulations specific for out-of-state property, okay? So the act requires prior approval and registration with the Bureau of Subdivided Land Sales Control for certain new out-of-state properties being offered to New Jersey residents. It includes substantially the same requirements as the Interstate Land Sale Full Disclosure Act, which regulates subdivided land on a federal level. Please highlight and underline, buyers have up to 7 calendar days to cancel contracts for the purchase or lease of such lands. 7 calendar days. The reason why I have this highlighted in green is because for residential property, New Jersey properties, it's 3 business days, and we'll talk about it later, so don't have to write anything now. But for interstate or out-of-state property, 7 calendar days. Okay. Next page. Right above rental referral agencies. And by the way, I skipped a lot of stuff, right? Only because we're either going to cover it in the next chapter, or in detail tomorrow, or along these next few chapters, okay? You still have to read it, you still have to go through it, but I'm trying to cover what's core about this chapter, okay? So, recent Real Estate Commission rules also address non-New Jersey properties that are advertised in New Jersey in languages other than English. Subsequent forms, please highlight, underline, put stars. Subsequent forms must be made available to prospective purchasers in the same language as was used in the original advertisement. So if somebody advertises property in the Poconos or whatever in Spanish or in French or in Russian, whatever, I advertise to that particular group, right? I'm not going to advertise in Russian to somebody that speaks Spanish. So if I'm advertising in Russian to that particular group of Russians, then all the forms of advertisement from there on must be in that same language. What happens a lot is that they use the language as bait, and then all the forms in English. If I do not understand English, you advertise to me in Russian, I'm going to trust you. Big mistake. Never trust anybody, not even me. You guys understand? Always do your research. Very, very important. Because what happened is, not too long ago, that's why it says recent New Jersey law,
not too long ago, there's a lot of properties advertised in West Palm Beach, West Palm Coast, sorry, in Florida. And this particular advertisement was in Spanish, in Hispanic TV, right? And they put this actor that, I don't know how you guys are, but usually what I say is if I see a Portuguese actor on TV, I'm like, whoa, he made it. We made it. Our people made it. We're a really tiny country, right? So for me, it's great. I get all excited, right? And what they did was the same thing. They used somebody that made it, right? You guys know Eric Estrada? Miami Vice, right? So he made it to the big screen. For them, it's a lot. And what Eric was doing, he was a paid actor. What he was doing was advertising property in West Palm Beach, but in Spanish. What happened? People believed him. There's nothing wrong with what he did. What was wrong is what the developer was doing. The advertisement on TV was in English, in Spanish, but the forms were all in English. People here gave up their jobs, gave up their houses, sold everything because they're leaving to get a beautiful mansion in Florida. Better weather. You guys got it? Better life and cheap house compared to what is here. So when they got there, what did they have? Just dirt. Dirt. Because what he was advertising was pre-construction prices. Buy now, get your house 5 years from now. Because for large developments, they need to secure some type of funding in order for the bank to fund the rest. You guys got it? So they need to have at least 50%, that's usually how it happens, pre-construction, at least 50% pre-sold before they can actually get the funding to complete. So people got there and they had nothing. Imagine you giving up your job, right? Selling your house, packing everything, going down there because you have a house. And you get there, it's just dirt. Imagine that. That's why. You start advertising in a language other than English, all the forms, including contract, must be in that language. You guys got it? Good.
And that was in Palm Coast, not West Palm Beach.
Palm Coast. Sorry.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
Because I'm going to West Palm Beach.
That's where you're going?
Yeah.
Scammer. I'm sorry. What was that? Palm Coast. It was something like that.
Yeah, Palm Coast. West Palm Coast.
Yeah.
I remember the commercial.
You remember?
Yeah.
It was something like that. I know it was Palm something.
Yeah.
But that's why these laws came into effect. In the Poconos, they did a lot of that too.
Yeah.
Only it's closer. If you need to come back, it's right here. All right, rental referral agencies, real quick. We're like 5 minutes behind on schedule. Real quick. If you're referring somebody for a rental, because we can help people rent as well, right? You got to have also a license. You cannot help somebody rent and get paid for it without a license. Because how did we start this chapter? Anyone that takes part in a real estate transaction for another person for a fee, commission, or valid consideration must have a license. If you're getting paid to help somebody rent, isn't that a fee, commission, or valid consideration? Isn't renting a real estate transaction? So it qualifies. That means you must have a license and you must have a written contract with each prospective tenant. This contract must specify the services to be performed, fees charged, date and term of contract, and refund policy. Even if it's to say no refunds, but it has to be specific refund policy. And now the best time of every chapter is when we get to the summary. That means this chapter is concluded. Every time you guys see this at the end of a chapter, you can breathe because it's break time. All right? Quick break as I set up the next chapter.
What was highlighted in the rental referral fee?
Yep.